You're watching Kenosha Community Television.
name is Nita Hunter. I'm with RG Productions, one of the organizers of today's event, and we would like to welcome you here today. We have an afternoon designed for you to be immersed in Victorian times, Victorian, combination of Dickens and Victorian. So if you look inside your program, you'll see the schedule of events, but we're going to get started right away this morning, and we'll have a 15-minute performance by Kenosha's very own Puppet Underground, and they have put together a performance especially for today, which I think you'll really enjoy. After that, we'll have a chef demonstration by local chef and Harbor Market President Ray Forgianni. At 1:45, Mrs. Dickens will take the stage and introduce you to her life. And then from 2 till 3 o'clock, we have Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. Thank you to the Super Carolers for providing some pre-show caroling. We'll see them a little bit later on in the performance as part of the radio performance. And please see the insert in your program for their upcoming lessons and carols. So, did you even know that Kenosha has a puppet group? Well, they do. And well, they do, and we're happy to introduce the Puppet Underground with performers Brandon Kelly, Glenn Kelly, and Tyrone Payton, and they have upcoming shows at Fusion, so watch the Fusion website for the future. But please help me in welcoming the Puppet Underground.
Oh, I hate these audition processes. Judy, send the next one in. What do you got for me, buddy?
Well, like, what do you mean? Like, this is just an interview for Dick's and Sporting Goods, right?
It's Dickens, baby.
Oh, okay. That's kind of interesting.
Can you act?
Oh yeah, sure. Hold on. Gotta get my giga face on.
You're gonna have to go louder, buddy. I can't hear
Okay. Okay. All right.
you.
All right. Hey, you over there. You see that guy? His name's Ebenezer Scrooge. He's a bad man. I'm going for narrator here, so
Ebenezer, he's a greedy man. Is that supposed to be Pacino?
yeah. How'd you know I work with Pacino?
Because I work with Pacino, and that's not Pacino.
Well, I mean, I think I even have the look and everything. That,
Sorry, pal. Next! Forgianni's kitchen's over there, buddy.
What? I'm not here to make dinner. I'm here to audition for the Christmas Goose.
Show me what you got.
Well, I mean, I can play dead and I can be basted and stuffed,
I think you'd be pretty good basted and stuff.
Well, I mean, it's a Christmas goose. Would you give a goose job to a chicken?
What do you think, folks?
Are you biased?
No, I love
Would I
chicken.
be good stuffed?
I love chicken.
Okay. Well, that'd be a great Christmas goose, don't you think?
What about a turducken?
Listen, I came here to be the audition for a Christmas goose. If I can't get the job, come on.
I don't know. I'm looking for the stars of this show, and I'm not looking for chicken.
Listen, you're just another smug Hollywood producer.
Next!
You're biased. No,
Next!
whatever, you're biased.
Next!
Don't even try it, buddy. Don't even try it. He's just biased to all poultry. You gotta be a goose. Don't worry about it.
Name?
Polly?
Yeah, you look like a Polly.
I sure do.
Can you act?
Yes, I can.
Show me something.
Well, actually, I actually played the part in, I actually said that, people say that I kind of have a Donald Duck impression. So, here I go. How's that?
Yeah, we're not doing that kind of Dickens, buddy.
Oh. I mean, I took acting lessons for, years now. I saw this, and I thought, you know what? I'll study at Cambridge, and I'll just join in all the drama groups, and then I'll come here and I'll play Dickens.
Well, I'm sorry that didn't work out for you.
No.
Next!
Okay, whatever.
Hey, Judy, see if you can get some of that Forgianni food over here. Smells good.
Good evening.
Okay, name please?
Delilah,
Oh, it's a beautiful name.
thank you. I'm a singing talent.
All right, can you act also?
Well, yes, I can act, but I'm here to be a Christmas Carol, audition for Christmas Carol.
Did you hear
That's the point.
Did you hear the carolers when you came in?
Well, they're quite intimidating, the super carolers, but I think I can sing just as well.
Let's see what you got, lady. Let's kick back here.
Joy to the world, the Lord has come. Let all receive his peace. You want to hear another one? Something a little bit more somber.
I just put some earplugs in. Go for it.
Silent night, holy night.
All is calm, all is bright. You like that?
I like it. You got that Mariah Carey range.
Oh, Mariah Carey, but thank you. Let's try another one. Guess I'll give you Christmas mojo. Here we come, what's a little Lord of Dieselby? Here we come, what's a little Lord of Dieselby? Out the door, up to you, into you, your muscles. I can't breathe. Okay, let's move on.
Is that it?
Well, I can do something a little more modern.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it. I'm all about modern.
Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, a very shiny nose. And if you ever saw it, you would have seen it blows.
Next!
Oh, wait, I can do racing too.
Really?
Yeah.
Racing? Well, I think there's some kids out there, so be careful with that.
Oh, they like this one.
All right.
Jingle bells, babbitt bells, robin laid an egg. Joking me, coaches me, a water gone away.
Hey!
I thought she'd never leave. Next!
Well, I never.
What are you supposed to be?
I am Saint Nick, Santa Claus, Kris Kringle. Any of these ring a bell?
They ring a bell, but looks like you took a couple of bad turns down a chimney.
Actually, I kind of smoke like a chimney, but that's all part of the part of Saint Nick. I mean,
St. Nick doesn't smoke.
a pipe, right?
Oh.
And cigars.
I think it's just.
Cigarettes.
I think it's just bubble pipes. There's no tobacco. Tobacco's bad.
What's the fun in that? Oh well.
Can you act?
No.
Well, what are you doing here?
I came to give you a gift.
Oh, hey Santa, how you doing?
Give us a. There. Hug it out.
Next!
Oh! Okay.
Get out! Forgianni's kitchen's back there.
He sent me back. So,
He only wants the finest.
he thought I was too small, so I should come audition for Tiny Tim.
Let's hear what you got.
God bless us, everyone.
Hey, did you bring a friend?
What do you mean?
Look behind you.
Oh, there's the Christmas presents.
That's a Dickens Christmas I could live with there. Good job. You got nice chops. Good job. Thanks. Got anything else for me?
Actually, it's kind of all redundant, you know, acting and such. I've had a long history of bad auditions. You kind of people. It's you kind of people.
We just want the best show possible, buddy. Back off. Back off. You already took my legs.
You need a bigger boat.
A much bigger boat. Next! Judy! I'm tired of this. Give me something good. Something I can work with. All right, what do we have here?
Good evening, Governor.
The stage is yours, my friend. Have at it.
Well, I hear this is a Dickens play, it is. And I'm a Dickens actor, I am. I performed in the famous Globe Theatre. Plenty of Shakespeare underneath my belt. I'm sure I can handle the part of Ebenezer Scrooge. I look great with my balding head. And I have the mutton chops on the side. Easy to grow. And I can be really cantankerous. And I have a proper British voice for this part.
Hey,
What do you think?
Why don't you try this hat on?
Okay. It's the right size. How's it look?
You look better on the top of your head.
Oh! I guess I have a fat head for myself.
I was gonna go too thin there.
Well, us prime actors have a fat head for our fat egos.
You got anything else you can work with there?
Listen, my prestige and resume speak for itself. If you won't have me, then off to the Globe I go. Good day, sir.
Next!
No, next you.
Next. Oh, hey. Nice hat.
Thanks. I just found it.
Looks better on you than that last guy.
I agree.
Oh, you're a pig! You should,
Yes!
You should
Yes,
be back
I
in
am.
Forgiano's kitchen there.
You know, I actually been overhearing you because it's kind of hard not to hear from outside. You seem to have some sort of thing with this Forgianni kitchen.
Have you tasted his food? Harbor Market, awesome. And that mustache.
Yes, I can agree. The mustache. The mustache is very nice.
Can you act?
Yes, I can.
Give me something, buddy.
All right. People aren't buying the hamburger. People. That's that.
What do you think, folks? Oh, you're not gonna cry, are you?
No. I'm a pig. I oink.
I think I ate some of your family this morning. Bacon, folks, bacon. It was turkey bacon, actually, so it might have belonged to one of those other puppets that was here earlier.
Wow, you're just making this personal, aren't you? I came here looking for a job, and you have to bring in something like that? How dare you?
Come here, let's hug this out. Next!
Next?
Hey, what? Oh.
Like next year? Yeah, Cubs 2015, next year. Yeah! Woo! We got Joe Madden. We got John Lester. I'm a kid, I'm losing my hair. Woo! Aren't you excited for the Cubs next year?
This is all about Dickens, baby.
What? Oh, I was just wandering around telling everybody how excited I am about. What do you? Yes, I'm a good kid. Stop patting my head, stranger. I was just telling everybody outside about how I'm so excited for the Cubs next year.
Because you heard me yell next?
No, but I guess I did see a sign about Christmas Carol auditions.
Give me
I'm playing
something.
the role as Tiny Tim. Okay.
Let's hear it.
Well, how's it end? The story. God bless us, everyone. How's that?
Stick with the Cubs. I think you got a better chance. Say goodbye to everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. We'll see you
God
next
bless us,
year.
everyone.
Thank you so much to the Puppet Underground. I just thought it was so awesome that they tailor-made something just for today. So check the Fusion website. How many of you have ever been to the new performance space in Kenosha called Fusion? What, John, the
You were
address?
there last night.
014 7th Avenue.
Yeah, it's an amazing, amazing space where they have live music, puppet shows, children's karaoke, a variety of different performances for adults and children alike. So check their website for more information. Next up, Dickens' tales are filled with Victorian food, and the images of tables laden with steaming plum puddings, succulent roasts, and the always present goose are forever ingrained in our minds. And so, by the way, is Chef Ray Forgianni of Kenosha Harbor Market. So he's here today to provide us an idea of what cooking was like back then. And for your viewing pleasure this year, we're happy to have him projected up on the screen where you can see his demonstration. So from now until about 1:45. So please enjoy. Ray is the chef and founder of Harbor Market in Kenosha, and he recently came home from a trip to England, and we look forward to having him share some of the classic dishes with us. Welcome, Ray.
Create one in the simplest way as possible. I do have some recipes up here, which I'll try to follow, although you'll notice very quickly, I don't measure things. So, I have a cutting board, although I pre-cut everything, but I want to teach you a trick if you cut at home. This is a wet paper towel. Always put it under your cutting board. Why? Because it doesn't slide. This way, when you're cutting, it's moving around, and you increase the odds of having too many things in your meal, things you don't want, or the visit to the hospital. All right, so the components of this are going to be onion, celery, carrots, and this is going to be a turkey one, so there's turkey. And let's see, what am I going to do first? I believe I'm going to saute those. Wait for that to heat up a little bit. The pot pie actually dates back to the Romans. It's something that spread through all of Europe, but it's very clear that it really was adopted during the Victorian era. So it was very common, and even my visit to London, in addition to the pubs, if you went to a farmer's market, there were pies there. Pies you could bring home. It was nice about them is they're portable. In addition, you don't have to eat them on the spot. You can carry them, and because of the crust, they will often retain the meat for a long time. Not a whole lot different. I know one of my grandparents worked in a lead mine in Upper Michigan, and my mom learned how to make pot pies there, or pasties, which is a form of it. And part of the reason was the pasties is they could go into the mine and carry it, and by midday when they'd have their lunch, the pie would still be warm because of the crust only did it. All right, I use olive oil, that's my lip of the choice. You can use other things, but olive oil works pretty well. What we're gonna do is saute some onion. Looks like I got that pretty hot, it should cool down with the vegetables. And the first thing I generally do when I saute, or sweat, in this case I'm sauteing, is I salt it. Now, people think you salt for taste, you do, but one of the reasons you salt is because it breaks the fibers down, the cells down in the vegetable. By sauteing it, the water comes out and it makes the vegetable sweeter. It's an interesting trick, actually. If I did this slower, I could actually get this to reduce in size because the water would be expelled. We're not going to try to flip this. There's like a little bit too much in there, and we will. So we're going to wait that a little bit there. So we're going to saute that. The steps involved here are to saute the vegetables, then add a broth, then add some other flavoring. Then we're going to line, I'm going to do this in a cast iron pan rather than, let's say, aluminum tin, which most of us would use. But I'm going to do a cast iron and I'm going to do this in the oven. And the only other step would be to finish it with either an egg wash or milk. Unfortunately today I managed to leave both at home. Let that soften a little bit more. Let's put some seasoning in there. What I've done ahead of time is I chopped up some rosemary and thyme. And I didn't have to chop the thyme up because it's small, but rosemary, fresh rosemary from my garden, you want to chop up because they're essentially like pine needles. You can see this, the camera. They're like pine needles. You don't want those in your mouth. They would hurt. But chopped up, they're great. You'll be able to tell relatively quickly that when this is added because it'll enhance the flavor very quickly. Add some pepper to this. Oops, took it off too long. Let's see. Oh no, it's back on. For those who haven't seen, I'm cooking on an inversion burner. There's no flame. It works on electromagnets. But you have to have the right kind of pan, otherwise it doesn't complete the circuit. But you notice when I take it off of the beef, we wait long enough. Essentially it'll break the circuit. We wait long enough. Did right there. So you can't overheat. Well, you could if you left it on there, I guess. All right, hopefully that's softened enough. Let's add some broth. I'm using chicken broth, even though I'm cooking with turkey. By the way, you could substitute the meat. One doesn't have to use turkey. You could use chopped up beef, hamburger, lamb, pork. And the fact is, this recipe is so basic that even with these seasonings, will work with all of those meat products. All right, so we gotta wait till that comes up to a boil. Let it simmer a little bit. Yeah, it hasn't entirely had enough time to cool, but it'll work. I'm pretty confident. And what I'm going to do is not make pastry. You can do this if you're a really gifted baker, and I will differentiate between a baker and a chef. My daughter's a baker, not a chef, a baker and a cook. I'm a cook. My daughter's a baker. She measures everything, because you bake, you want to be very, you have to be accurate. It doesn't work right. With cooking, it's relative. You saw, you know what, I forgot to season it, didn't I? Let's turn this back on. So I'm going to season this. I'm going to put some Worcestershire sauce. Now, this is an onami. Now, some of you may be familiar with onamis. Essentially, it's something the Japanese figured out, that when you have a amino acid or a protein and you add another protein, it really enhances the flavor. You find it almost in every nationality. No one realizes they do it. I'll use the example. The British use the Worcestershire sauce. The Italians will use things like bacon, or they'll use anchovies, and they'll start it, and then whatever the meat is will be added later, or the other protein. I've added a steak sauce. This happens to be a British steak sauce, and the recipe calls for a British mustard, which has some heat to it. You don't have to use a British mustard. You can use an American steak sauce. You don't have to use one. That's up to you. I also have to add some peas to this. These are frozen peas, keeping it as simple as possible. I think the American example would be the manwich, or the ground beef, not beef sandwich, but a beef sandwich might have it too, where we add Worcestershire sauce to it, and it makes that extra unctuous flavor. You go, wow, it really tastes good. Okay, so got that back up to a boil. Now we have to have a sauce with it, and the sauce can't be this thin, so we have to thicken it. There's a lot of thickeners out there. There's cornstarch. There's rice flour. This is just regular flour. This is probably butter you can use to thicken, but flour works the best. A couple of tablespoons, maybe 3 because of the size of this. Try not to have bend it over here.
Ray, about how large would the pies be that they made back then? Would they be that size, or were they as huge as what you're talking about their kitchens were?
Well, I wouldn't be this big, but they would vary in size. You can make them individually. I just chose to do it this way because I didn't want to make about 40 pies. But you can see from this, it has the flexibility. Certainly you can make small ones. If you want to do this for a party or even an appetizer, you can make small ones. And then, in fact, they don't have to even be this way. You could simply take the pastry, cut it into a square, fold it over, cut it into an oval, fill it up, make a pocket, and then seal it. You know, like a hostess pie, if you will. And bring it with you. In fact, we used to do that as a dessert when we go on a picnic.
Okay, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this right, but what's the difference between a pot pie and a pasty?
Pasty doesn't, where it comes from. That's like talking about a hoagie versus a submarine sandwich.
Oh, okay.
Or look at a camera. But now, the last thing I want to do is put holes in it. Otherwise, it might blow up. We don't want that. You know, I'm gonna put this in a 400 or 425 degree oven for about a half hour. It might take a little longer. So let me go put this in the oven. You can see it brown real nice, even without the egg wash. But an egg wash should have really enhanced it. Or milk, if you're really in a bind. Milk is sort of a fallback because almost everyone has milk, but the museum doesn't have milk. They have an oven though. All right, now the hard part. Not yet. I do appreciate the advice, but at this point, now the hard part. Now we could serve it right out of here, but we're going to try to flip it instead. You know, try not to hurt myself or other people. And that is hot. But first, make sure it's separated. It's separated, so we're good. Everyone understood what I just did? First, I ran the knife around the outside without breaking the crust, and then I shook it to break it loose. One nice thing about cast iron, I use both cast iron and stainless steel. I seldom use Teflon. I don't like that the stuff comes off of the loose. Aha! You think you're impressed. So that's about it. Now I could use that help that was offered.
Please welcome historian and actress Jessica Mickna as she recreates the long-suffering wife of Charles Dickens, Mrs. Catherine Dickens. Don't be surprised if some of Mr. Dickens's notable female characters drop by to say hello to Catherine.
Good afternoon. It is such a pleasure that I am asked to speak to an audience today, for it is usually my dear husband, Mr. Charles Dickens, who trods the boards. I'm not sure what I should tell you about myself, for I am a very ordinary person. Charles would be the first to tell you that I am very ordinary. But my dear husband, Charles, the creator of more than 2,000 characters, 31 novels and novellas, thousands of articles in publications, and of course, my 10 children. Now, as I say, I'm a very ordinary person, but I cannot say that for the marvelous characters that sprung from the fertile imagination of Mr. Charles John Huffam Dickens, a convict by the name of Magwitch. And oh, Estella, the beautiful, untouchable, unmovable Estella. Why, there are times when I believe that some of these characters have actually walked the earth. Oh, I do believe I've gotten my wish. I do believe I see Miss Havisham. Oh, Miss Havisham, do come over and visit with us, please, my dear. Who are all of these people? I don't like people. I prefer to be alone in my home. Oh, I know you're all staring at me, for I wear the garb of a bride who was left standing at her wedding breakfast. But oh, I have raised up my dear Estella, and oh, she shall break many a man's heart. Well, I'm going to be off now, for I don't like people. If any of you think that you are going to be named in my will, I'm afraid that you are dreadfully wrong. Again, I shall be off. Thank you, Miss Havisham. Oh, the characters that inhabited Mr. Dickens' novels. Mr. Dickens himself is quite a character, an actor, known for his vibrant readings of his own writings. But oh, my favorite, perhaps, of all of his writings, perhaps I might say that is Oliver Twist, the story of a little orphan boy born in a workhouse, left to fend for himself on the wicked streets of London. And oh, can we ever forget that great villain by the name of Fagin, a gent who was so kind and benevolent, taking in those little orphan children, feeding them and clothing them and educating them, and running the largest pickpocket ring in London, right under the nose of the coppers. And oh, that villain of villains, Bill Sikes. Was there ever anyone who could sink to such lowly depths as the wicked Bill Sikes? But amongst them all, that one shining star in that city of London, that one young woman with a heart as big as the city of London, but only one name, Nancy. Oh, aren't you cheeky? My name is Nancy. Oh, that Dickens fella, he only gave me one name. But oh, what a life he gave me. And oh, he gave me Bill Sikes. Oh, I know Bill tain't perfect. But oh, I love him. I'd do anything for my Bill Sykes. I think I'd love him till I die. By the by, if you see old Charlie around, tell him Nancy's looking for him. He ain't come up to spring my garters in quite a long time. Tell him Nancy's looking for him. Like to tip a pipe with old Charlie. Ta-ta. Oh, the characters that sprung from that imagination. Now, I do recall there were some wonders in another novel by the name of David Copperfield. Little Davy, orphaned, with his poor, dear, weak mamma. And she would marry Mr. Murdstone. Why, even the name threatens one. And of course, the wonderful characters, Barkis's William and Peggotty the nurse, all so lovingly brought to life by Mr. Dickens himself. And oh, Mr. Dickens often reminded me of one of his characters upon his purchase of Gad's Hill, a beautiful house upon a little knoll. Why, quite often I would see Mr. Dickens striding across the lawn, inspecting his grand estate. And I would be reminded of Aunt Betsy Trotwood. Oh, these infernal donkeys! Mr. Dick, please come about. Help me chase these donkeys. They're trotting right through my daffodils. Mr. Dick, please rescue me. Have you seen my nephew, Davy? Oh, I so wanted a girl, but my niece produced that infernal Davy. But I love him none the same. Mr. Dick, please rescue me from these infernal donkeys. And I could go on for over 2,000 characters created from that wonderful mind of my very own Mr. Charles Dickens. And now, I am so very pleased to present to you one of the finest pieces of Mr. Dickens' works, a work that will stand indeed the test of time, the immortal story of how even human nature can be changed. The wonderful story of the Christmas tide, of the Cratchits, of Tiny Tim, and of course, Mr. Ebenezer Scrooge. And now I present to you the immortal work of Mr. Charles Dickens, A Christmas Carol. Thank you.
I didn't want, Jessica gave such a wonderful introduction, but I did just want to let you know something special about our group and today's performance. It's a 1938 version of the Orson Welles Christmas Carol, which starred Lionel Barrymore for over 20 years. And so we're really excited to present that. And one of the reasons we're super excited is because in May of 2015, will be the 100th centenary anniversary of the birth of Orson Welles, who was born right here in Kenosha. And so we have a fantastic lineup. We have scholarly biographers who will be coming to Kenosha. We have performances and screenings of movies such as Citizen Kane, Magnificent Ambersons, with a wraparound of the biographers talking about the importance of Wells. As you know, Citizen Kane regularly appears as the #1 movie of all time. We'll have radio performances, magic and puppets. So stay tuned to citizenwells.org so you can hear all about that. That's the entire month of May 2015. So enjoy today's performance.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this point in the program, it's my custom, as you know, to present to you with a few words of introduction our guest of the evening. With your consent, I shall dispense with this tonight. To introduce tonight's guest to the Campbell Playhouse audience, or to any American audience, is an extravagant and superfluous procedure. For if ever an actor has won himself a lasting place in the hearts of his fellow countrymen through years of unsparing and inspiring service, that actor is Lionel Barrymore. Mr. Lionel Barrymore.
Thank you, Orson Welles. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Well, this is the 4th year I've had the pleasure of appearing in A Christmas Carol on the Campbell Playhouse. I assure you all it's a pleasure that never tires. As long as I can remember, this has been one of my favorite stories. When we were children, it was read to us regularly at this time of year, as it is to millions of children right now. And like many, I'm sure, the three of us, Ethel, Jack, and I, with the aid of a sheet and some old ironware, made a play of it. As I remember, we had 3 Scrooges in that production.
Who played Tiny Tim?
Well, I think we all played Tiny Tim. But seriously, I can think of no part that I've enjoyed playing again and again as much as I have that squeezing, retching, grasping, scrapping, clutching, covetous old sinner, Ebenezer Scrooge. And I can think of no happier or more suitable choice for the makers of Campbell's soups to offer the people of America as their Christmas present each time of year than Charles Dickens' well-beloved story, A Christmas Carol.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride.
The makers of Campbell's Soup present the Campbell's Playhouse, Orson Welles, producer.
Good evening. This is Orson Welles. There are clearly a number of ways in which A Christmas Carol could be introduced. For myself, I am most struck by the happy fortune that enables us on this Christmas Eve to present Mr. Lionel Barrymore, the best-loved actor of our time, in the world's best-loved Christmas story, A Christmas Carol. When Charles Dickens presented this little story to the world almost 100 years ago, it found an instant response in the hearts of people everywhere who saw in it their favorite fictional chronicle of what Christmas is and what Christmas means to all the simple people of the earth. From the day of its first printing, families have been innumerable in which there has remained unbroken the tradition that the reading of A Christmas Carol was an item indispensable to a proper observance of the most important of days. It is the American way, as we know, to establish traditions quickly where popular instinct and sentiment pronounce them sound. And so it is that today, actually only the 5th anniversary of Mr. Lionel Barrymore's first playing of the part of Ebenezer Scrooge for the Campbell Playhouse, there is, I think, in all America, nothing more eagerly awaited, more firmly rooted in the hearts of the radio family that numbers millions, than this yearly performance of A Christmas Carol. A Christmas Carol, as Charles Dickens wrote it, has by common consent long been a classic. Mr. Lionel Barrymore's appearance in it is rapidly becoming one. And now, just before A Christmas Carol, Ernest Chappell has a special Christmas greeting from the makers of Campbell's Soups. Mr. Chappell?
Thank you, Orson Welles. As the old year draws to its close, we at Campbell's feel a bond of warmth and gratitude toward each of you, our friends. For you see, in homes everywhere throughout the land, Campbell's soups have been welcome. Day by day, week by week, you have placed confidence in us and in the foods we make. Good. And there isn't anything we appreciate more deeply than the fact that so many of you have elected to let Campbell's make your soups for you. And so when Christmas comes, we look about to find some way to show our appreciation. Some Christmas present by which to say, thank you. The gift we chose 5 Christmases ago and have chosen each year since has become a part of Christmas so many and many a family has enjoyed. It has become a Christmas custom, as Mr. Wells said, to gather around the radio to hear and enjoy a Christmas carol. And since it's Christmas Eve, we hope too that the younger members of the family are permitted to stay up and listen before dreams and visits of Santa. We get a great deal of pleasure planning and preparing this Christmas gift, and now it's ready.
Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Peace on earth and mercy mild, God and sinners reconciled. Joyful all ye nations rise, join the triumph of the skies. With the angelic host proclaim, Christ is born in Bethlehem. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King.
Off come the wrappings, off come the tags that say, please do not open till Christmas. Out come the cards to you from Campbell's, and here is the gift itself.
Marley was dead to begin with. There is no doubt whatever about that. The register of his burial was signed by the clergyman, the clerk, the undertaker, and the chief mourner. Scrooge signed it, and Scrooge's name was good upon change for anything he chose to put his hand to. Old Marley was as dead as a doornail. Scrooge knew he was dead? Of course he did. Scrooge and Marley were partners for I don't know how many years. But he was a tight-fisted hand at the grindstone, was Scrooge. Squeezing, wrenching, grasping, scraping, clutching, covetous old sinner. And once upon a time, of all the good days in the year, on Christmas Eve.
God rest ye merry gentlemen, let nothing you dismay. Remember Christ our Savior was born on Christmas Day, to save us all from Satan's power when we were gone astray. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy.
Old Scrooge sat busy in his counting house, a grim, cheerless place if ever there was one. The door of Scrooge's counting house was open, that he might keep an eye on his clerk, Bob Cratchit, who, in a cold and dismal little cell beyond, worked on his ledgers.
20, 21, 22, 23, 26, 9, carries 2, joy, 11, 13, 17, 7.
Bob Cratchit!
Yes, Mr. Scrooge?
Stop that infernal caterwauling!
Yes, sir. 9, 15, 17, carry the 1, 2, 5,
Oh, the
7.
impudence. Singing their idiotic Christmas carols at my very door.
7, 2.
Go on, get away from my door. Go on somewhere else and belly your blasted carols, and I'll give you in charge.
Oh, sorry, Governor. It's an old Christmas custom, you know.
Yes, and I don't want any of your old customs. Take your fellow fools and go away. Christmas. Ah!
Oh, right, sir. Merry Christmas anyway, sir.
Now, you get that letter from Higgins and Blackthorn, Cratchit, And then I want you to finish posting this ledger. And after that, you can pop over to Fothergill's and tell Heathram Fothergill you've come after the 17 shillings and 6 he's owed me since Michaelmas. And tell him I shall have a constable over there if he doesn't pay at once.
Mr. Fothergill's wife has been ill, sir.
What do I care about his wife? I want my 17 and 6.
Well, I just thought it being Christmas, sir.
Christmas? Christmas. You mentioned the word to me once more, Bob Cratchit.
Merry Christmas, Uncle. Merry Christmas, Bob.
Oh, Merry Christmas, Mr. Fred.
God save you, Uncle.
Bah! Humbug.
Christmas? A humbug, Uncle? No, I'm sure you don't mean that.
I mean just that. Exactly that. Merry Christmas. What right have you to be merry? What reason have you? You're poor enough.
Well, what right have you to be dismal about Christmas, Uncle? You're rich enough. Now, Uncle, please, don't be cross.
What else can I be when I live in such a world of fools? What's Christmas to you but a time for paying bills without money? Merry Christmas. A time for finding yourself a year older and not an hour richer. If I could work my will, every idiot who goes about with Merry Christmas on his lips would be boiled with his own pudding and buried with a stake up alley through his heart, he should.
Uncle!
Now, nephew, keep Christmas in your own way and let me keep it in mine.
Keep it? But you don't keep it, Uncle.
Well, let me leave it alone then. What do you want? A Christmas gift, no doubt.
No, I came to wish you a Merry Christmas, Uncle.
Merry Christmas. Much good Merry Christmas do you. Much good it has ever done you.
There are many things from which I've derived good, by which I have not profited materially. I dare say, Uncle, Christmas being among the rest. But I've always thought of Christmas time as a good time, a kind, forgiving, charitable, pleasant time. And therefore, Uncle, though it has never put a scrap of gold or silver in my pocket, I believe it has done me good and will do me good. And I say, God bless it.
God bless Christmas, hurrah!
Let me hear another sound out of you, Bob Cratchit, and you'll keep your Christmas by losing your situation.
Yes, sir.
And as for you, nephew, I wonder you don't go into Parliament. You're talking of nonsense.
Don't be angry, Uncle. I want nothing from you. I ask nothing of you. Why can't we be friends?
Good afternoon.
I'm sorry you feel that way, Uncle. Well, I've tried. A Merry Christmas to you, Uncle.
Good afternoon.
And a Happy New Year, too.
Ah, humbug.
And a Merry Christmas to you, Bob, and the missus, and to Tiny Tim.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Fred. Same to you, sir. Good day, sir.
Good day, Bob.
Nonsense, twaddle, flummery, talking of Christmas, and not 2 6 to jingle together in his trouser pockets. Hey there, you, Bob Cratchit, come here. What are you doing there?
Well, I'm only putting a bit more coal in the fire, Mr. Scrooge, seeing as it's so cold in here.
You put that coal back into the scuttle. Ah, fire. Fire indeed. I can tell you, if you use coal at that rate, you and I will soon be parting company, Bob Cratchit. You understand that? There's many a young fellow that would like your situation, you know.
Well, I'm sorry, sir. It's just my fingers were getting a little stiff with the cold.
Well, then put on your mittens. Someone at the door. Let's see who it is.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
This is the firm of Scrooge and Marley.
Yes, sir.
I should like to see the head of the firm, if I may.
Oh, very good, sir.
What is it?
A gentleman to see you, Mr. Scrooge.
Well.
Have I the pleasure of addressing Mr. Scrooge or Mr. Marley?
Marley's been dead these 7 years tonight. I'm Scrooge.
Oh, well, well now, Mr. Scrooge, at this season of the year, it's only fitting that we who are more fortunate should raise a fund to buy the poor some meat and drink and means of warmth. You may not believe it, sir, but many thousands are now in want of common necessities. And hundreds of thousands are in want of the simplest comforts.
Are there no prisons?
Well, there are plenty of prisons, sir.
And the workhouses, they're still in operation?
I wish I could say they are not, but they are, sir.
The treadmill and the poor law are in full vigor then?
Both very busy, sir.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I was afraid from what you said that something had occurred to stop them in their useful course.
No, sir. All these institutions you mentioned are flourishing, but it's nevertheless true that some additional provisioning for the poor and destitute must be made. A few of us on the exchange are endeavoring to raise such a fund, you see, and what shall I put you down for?
Nothing.
Oh, I see. You wish to remain anonymous.
I wish to be left alone. I don't make merry myself at Christmas time, and I can't afford to help make a lot of idle people merry. I help to support the establishments that care for the poor. They cost enough. Let those who are badly off go there.
Many can't go there, sir, and many would rather die.
Well, then my advice to them is to do so and decrease the surplus population. Besides, I've only your word for it that this is so.
It's the truth, Mr. Scrooge.
Well, so be it then. It's not my business. It's enough for a man to understand his own business and not to interfere with other people's. Mine occupies me constantly. Good afternoon, sir.
I quite understand, Mr. Scrooge. Good afternoon.
Cratchit, show this gentleman out.
Yes, sir. This way, sir, please. Sir, I couldn't help overhearing. I should like to contribute tuppence.
Cratchit!
Yes, sir. But it isn't much, but it's all I can afford. But there are others in worse situations than I.
You're a generous fellow. I wish I might say so about your employer.
Cratchit!
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Cratchit!
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Yes, sir.
Close the door.
Yes, sir. 24, 31, 1, carry the 3, a new scarlet tip of a Tiny Tim, a comb for Martha, 33, 3 and carry 3, a handwritten for Belinda, 4, 7, 12...
Cratchit!
Yes, sir.
It's too late to have you go to Fothergill's. Be closed up for Christmas like these other fools. We may as well close up the place now.
Yes, sir. It is getting a little dark. Hard to see the figures.
I suppose you'll want the entire day tomorrow.
If it's quite convenient, sir.
It's not convenient, and it's not fair either. But I suppose I can't do anything about it. If I was to stop half a crown of your wages, you'd think yourself very ill-used, I'll be bound.
Oh, well, sir,
Yes, but you don't think me ill-used when I pay a day's wages for no work?
It's only once a year, sir.
Once a year, indeed. A fine excuse for picking a man's pocket every 25th of December. But I suppose there's no good talking. You must have the whole day. We'll see that you're here all the earlier the next morning. You understand?
Oh, I will, sir. Oh, I will indeed. Good night, sir, and Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
The office was closed in a twinkling. And Bob Cratchit, with the long ends of his white comforter dangling below his waist, for he boasted no greatcoat, went down a slide on Cornhill 20 times in honor of its being Christmas Eve, and then ran down home to Camden Town as hard as he could pelt to play with his family at Blind Man's Bluff. Scrooge, on the other hand, took his melancholy dinner in his usual melancholy tavern, and having read all the newspapers and spent the rest of the evening with his banker's book, went to his dismal house. Darkness is cheap, and Scrooge liked it. The yard was so dark that even Scrooge, who knew its every stone, had to grope with his hands through the fog and frost to find the door. Scrooge walked through his rooms to see that all was right. Sitting room, bedroom, lumber room, all as they should be. He closed the door, he locked himself in, he double-locked himself in, and took off his cravat, put on his dressing gown and slippers and his nightcap.
Make one that fits, they could.
And sat down before the fire to take his gruel.
Molly. I could have sworn I saw old Marley. Humbug. Marley's been dead these 7 years. Humbug, all humbug. What I need is a good night's sleep. That's all I need. What's that? Someone's in the place. But the door's locked and double locked. It's coming. Something is coming closer. Outside my door. I won't believe it. It's still humbug.
Ebenezer Scrooge. Yeah. Ebenezer Scrooge.
Molly? Oh. No. What do you want of me?
I want much of you, Ebenezer.
Who are you?
Ask me who I was.
You're particular to a shade, aren't you? Or perhaps I should say, for a shade. All right, then. Who are you?
In life, I was your partner, Jacob Marley.
Jacob Marley. But you're dead. You died 7 years ago.
7 years ago this very night.
You are a ghost, then?
What's wrong, Ebenezer? Don't you believe me?
I do not.
You doubt your senses, Ebenezer.
Yes, because a little thing affects them. A slight disorder of the stomach makes them cheats. You may be in a bit of undigested beef, a blot of mustard, a crumb of cheese, a fragment of an underdone potato. There may be more gravy than a grave about you. Whatever you are, bah, humbug. I tell you, humbug. Oh, thanks. Excuse me. I do believe in you. Okay.
Thank you.
But why are you here? Why do you walk the earth, Jacob? Why do you come to me?
It is required of every man that the spirit within him should walk abroad among his fellow men, travel far and wide. And if the spirit goes forth not into life, it is condemned to do so after death. It must wander through the world and witness what it cannot share, but might have shared on earth, and turn to happiness.
But tell me, Jacob, what is that chain around your neck?
I wear the chains I forged in life. I made them link by link and yard by yard, by my own free will. Is this pattern strange to you, Ebenezer?
Cash boxes, keys and padlocks, ledgers and purses.
Yes, chains were as heavy as and as long as this 7 years ago. You labored on it since, Ebenezer.
Jacob, speak comfort to me.
Comfort? I have none to give. I cannot rest. I cannot stay. I cannot linger. Weary journeys lies before me.
You travel fast, then?
Yes, Ebenezer, on the wings of the wind.
7 years dead and traveling all the time?
7 years. 7 years of remorse. Ebenezer, do you not know that the space one cannot amends its own life's opportunity misused?
But you were always a good man of business, Jacob.
Business. Mankind was my business. Charity, mercy, benevolence. They all were my business. The dealings of my trade were but a drop of water in the comprehensive ocean of my business.
Oh, Jacob, don't take on so now.
Listen to me, Ebenezer.
I'm listening to you, Jacob. Go on now. Speak to me, but don't be so flowery.
I am here to warn you that you have yet a chance and hope to escape my fate. Did you hear that, Ebenezer?
Yes. You always were a good friend to me, Jacob. Thank you. But go on. How shall I escape? Jacob, I'm afraid, Jacob.
You'll be haunted by 3 spirits.
Is that the only chance and hope, Jacob?
It is your only chance and hope.
Well, then I think I'd rather not.
Without their visits, you cannot hope to shun the paths I tread. Expect the first tomorrow when the bell tolls 1.
Couldn't I take them all at once and have it over, Jacob?
Ebenezer, look at for your own sake. You remember what has passed between us. And remember, when the bell tolls 1, look for the first spirit.
Molly? Jacob, Molly!
Scrooge awoke. He was lying on his bed, fully dressed. Suddenly the curtains of his bed were drawn aside, and Scrooge found himself face to face with the unearthly visitor who drew them, as close to it as I am now to you, and I am standing in the spirit at your elbow. It was a strange figure, like a child, yet not so like a child as like an old man, diminished to a child's proportions. Its hair, which hung about its neck and down its back, were white as if with age, and yet the face had not a wrinkle in it, and the tenderest bloom was on the skin. The arms were long and muscular, as if its hold were of uncommon strength.
Ebenezer Scrooge.
Who's that?
Ebenezer Scrooge, I have come for you.
Are you the spirit whose coming was foretold to me?
I am that spirit.
Well, who and what are you?
I am the ghost of Christmas past.
Long past?
No, your past.
What do you want of me? What brings you here to haunt me?
Your welfare, Ebenezer Scrooge. Rise and walk with me.
Oh, no, not out the window. I can't do that. I'll fall down. I'm not a spirit. I'm mortal, and I'll fall.
Bear but a touch of my hand upon your heart, and you shall be upheld in more than this. Come, follow me.
Where are we? What's become of the city? There's snow upon the ground. Where are we?
These are but shadows of the things that have been. They have no consciousness of us. Do you recognize this countryside?
I recognize every inch of it, every rock, every tree.
And that bleak building over there.
That building. I was a boy there. I went to school in that horrible place.
Do you recollect that path?
I could walk it blindfolded.
Strange you should forget it for so many years. Come, let us go closer. Look through the window into that cold, barren room. What do you see, Ebenezer Scrooge?
I see a boy.
A solitary child, neglected by his family, alone.
Yes, I see. I know that boy. Oh, I was so lonely, poor boy.
Your lip is trembling. And what is that upon your cheek?
It's nothing at all. I wish that... but it's too late now.
What is the matter?
Nothing. The waves came to my door singing Christmas carols last night, and there was a boy like that among them, a poor, pale, thin little boy in a ragged coat. I should like to have given him something, that's all.
Is that all? Now, Ebenezer Scrooge, let us see another Christmas.
Scrooge's former self grew larger at the words, and the schoolroom became a little darker and more dirty. As the boy walked up and down despairingly, Scrooge felt a pang in his heart and looked anxiously toward the open door.
Ebenezer! Dear brother!
Fan!
I have come to bring you home, dear brother. Home!
Home, little Fan?
Yes! Home forever and ever. Father is so much kinder than he used to be. That home's like heaven. He spoke to me so gently one dear night that I was not afraid to ask him once more if you might come home, and he said, yes, you should, and sent me in a coach to bring you. He's got you a situation in London, so you're never to return to this awful place again. Oh, Ebenezer, we'll have the merriest Christmas in all the world.
You're quite a woman, little Fan.
Come on.
Always a delicate creature, whom a breath might have withered, but she had a large heart.
So she had. I shall not gainsay it, spirit, God forbid.
She died a married woman, I think, and had children.
One child.
True, your nephew.
Yes.
There's more for you to see. Do you know this place, Ebenezer Scrooge?
Know it? Why, this
Yes,
is the old
yes,
warehouse
it's
where I was
Christmas Eve,
apprenticed.
Christmas, you know, you hear? Now that fellow with the fiddle, he's playing.
Listen! Why, it's my
on the
old
dance floor
master.
now.
Bless his heart, old Mr. Fezziwig, my master alive again, and hosting one of his Christmas parties. Listen to him.
Hey, hold your hands with your partner, blow and face away, corkscrew, thread the needle, and back to your places.
And there's Dick Williams. Oh, Dick, dear. Yes, And look, there's Mrs. Fezziwig herself, looking younger than any of the other ladies, and the tables all loaded with roast and cider and mince pie and beer. And, oh, what a jolly time we used to have.
That carefree young man with the light heart and the gay smile, do you recognize him?
Yes, merciful heaven. How happy I was then.
A small matter for old Fezziwig to make these silly folks so full of gratitude.
Small matter? Small indeed.
Isn't it? He spent only a few pounds of your mortal money. Is that so much that he deserves praise?
It's not that, Spirit. Old Fezziwig has the power to make us happy or unhappy, to make our service light or heavy. His power lies in words and looks and in things so tiny that it's impossible to count him up. The happiness he gives is quite as great as if it cost a fortune.
What is the matter?
Oh, nothing. Nothing at all, Spirit.
Something, I think.
No.
Speak!
Well, only it's just I should like to be able to say a word or two to my clerk, Bob Cratchit, that's all.
All right. Sweet your harmony, address the entire bow and curtsy. Thread the needle.
My time grows short, and we have yet another journey to make.
Where now?
Come. This is our penultimate visit to the past. Here, in this little room, with a fair young girl by your side. Do you recognize yourself, Ebenezer?
No. Spare me this.
You're older now, a man in the prime of your life. Your face has begun to wear the signs of care and avarice. Your eyes are greedy, the eager, restless eyes of a miser.
No, please.
She knows it too, that girl by your side. There are tears in her eyes.
It matters little, Ebenezer, to you. Very little. I know that.
Bill, have I changed toward you?
When we were first engaged, we were both poor.
Was it better then? Better to be poor?
Better at least to be happy. You're changed. You were another man then.
I was a boy. You blame me because I've grown wiser? Have I ever tried to break our engagement?
In words, no, never.
In what then?
In a changed nature, in an altered spirit, and everything that made my love of any value in your sight. So I release you from your promise.
Belle!
Oh, at first it may cause you pain to lose me, a very brief pain, but soon it'll be dim, like a half-remembered dream, an unprofitable dream, and you will be glad to be awake from such a dream. May you be happy in the life you have chosen, Ebenezer. I release you with a full heart for the love of him you once were.
It's enough! Show me no more. Take me home.
I told you that these were shadows of the things that have been. That they are what they are. Do not blame me.
No more.
One shadow more. Come. Do you see this man, Ebenezer Scrooge? This man might have been you, and the woman beside him, your wife.
Belle!
And that girl might have been your daughter. She might have called you father. She may have been the springtime in the haggard winter of your life.
Spirit, let me go. Show me no more.
Listen now while they speak.
Belle, I saw an old friend of yours today.
Who was it?
Guess.
Oh, I don't know. How can I? Mr. Scrooge.
Mr. Scrooge it was. I passed his office window, and as it wasn't shuttered and there was a candle inside, I couldn't help seeing him. His partner Marley lies at the point of death, I hear. And there Scrooge sat, all alone. Quite alone in the world, I do believe.
Spirit, I can't bear any more. Leave me, haunt me no more. Take me back.
When the snow lay round about, deep and crisp and even, brightly shone the moon that night, though the frost was cruel. When a poor man came in sight, gathering winter fuel.
From the stroke of one, Scrooge awakened suddenly and sat bolt upright in his own bed. He remembered the words of Marley's ghost and wondered from which direction the second specter would appear. At that moment, nothing between a baby and a rhinoceros would have astonished him very much. Now, being prepared for almost anything, he was not by any means prepared for nothing. And consequently, when no shape appeared, he was taken with a violent fit of trembling. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, a quarter of an hour went by, yet nothing came. Then, as he sat in his bed, he became aware gradually of a great blaze of ruddy light. It seemed to shine upon him from the adjoining room. He got up softly and shuffled in his slippers to the door. It was his own sitting room, no doubt about that. But it had undergone a surprising transformation. The walls and ceiling were so hung with living green that it looked a perfect grove, from every part of which bright gleaming berries glistened. And such a mighty blaze went roaring up from the chimney as he had never known in Scrooge's time, or for many and many a winter season gone. Heaped upon the floor to form a kind of throne were turkeys, geese, game, poultry, great joints of meat, sucking pigs, long wreaths of sausages, mince pies, plum puddings, barrels of oysters, red-hot chestnuts, and seething bowls of punch that made the chamber dim with their delicious steam. In easy state upon this couch there sat a jolly giant, glorious to see, who bore a torch in shape not unlike Plenty's horn, and held it up, high up, to shed its light on Scrooge as he came peeping around the door.
Come in, Ebenezer Scrooge, and know me better than...
You.
I am the ghost of Christmas present. Look upon me. You have never seen the like of me before.
Ooh, you're different from the other spirit. You're tall, almost a giant, and that torch you carry.
Its light falls into the homes of rich and poor alike.
Spirit, take me where you will. Last night I went against my will and learned a lesson which is now working. If you have anything to teach me, let me profit by it.
Touch my robe, Ebenezer Scrooge. Touch my robe.
Where have you brought me, Spirit?
A humble dwelling on a humble street.
It's miserable enough.
Yet there is happiness here.
Who are these people? Who's that woman and the children?
These are the family of your clerk, Bob Cratchit.
Oh.
See his wife, dressed in a twice-turned gown, but brave in ribbons, lay the table for their Christmas dinner. And there, assisting her, is their daughter Belinda, and the young man with the fork in the stuffing, that's Master Peter Cratchit.
Yay.
And the two little Cratchits. Listen, Scrooge.
Here's Martha, Mother.
Here's Martha, Mother. Hurrah!
Children.
Why, bless your heart alive, my dear. Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas, Mother. Merry Christmas.
Well, how late you are, my dear.
Oh, we had a deal of work to finish up last night and had it clear away this morning.
Oh, well, never mind. So long as you're here now, sit you down before the fire, my dear, and have a warm, Lord bless ye.
Where's Father?
Oh, he's been to church with Tiny Tim. They'll be along directly.
How is Tiny Tim, Mother? Any better at all?
Sometimes I think he is. And sometimes I think, oh, if anything should happen to Tiny Tim.
Mother, you mustn't think such a thing.
Here they come, Father and Tiny Tim.
Here they come, Father and Tiny Tim.
Oh, there's Tiny Tim.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Oh, Martha. Welcome, my dear.
Merry Christmas, Father and Tim.
Merry Christmas, Martha.
Oh, Tim, you darling.
Oh, here, let me take your coat off, Tim. We're glad to have you here, Martha.
Oh, Father, I'm so glad to be home.
And how did little Tim behave in church, Bob?
Oh, he was good as gold and better.
Oh.
I like church, Mother. Oh, they sing the nicest songs. I hope people saw me there.
Saw you there? And why, Tim?
Well, don't you see? Because I'm lame. And if they saw my crutch, it might be pleasant for them to remember upon Christmas Day who it was made lame beggars walk and blind men see.
Ha ha, bless you, my son.
Are we ready to eat, Mother?
Oh, come on. Let's eat.
Oh, all right. Come on.
All right, now, yes, children, we're all ready. Now, come and take your places now. And, wait, your turn. There's plenty of goose and stuffing and dressing and plum pudding for all of you. Martha, you take care of Tiny Tim.
Yes, Mother.
And see that he eats plenty. He must get strong and well. Now, sit down, everyone.
All right, and now, my dears, shall we say grace? Him. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
Tell me if Tiny Tim will live.
I see a vacant seat in the poor chimney corner, and a crutch without an owner, carefully preserved.
Oh, no, kind spirit, say he will be spared. Say he'll live.
If these shadows remain unaltered by the future, the child will die. But what then? If he be like to die, hadn't he better do it and decrease the surplus population?
God, my own words.
It is not given to you to decide who shall live and who shall die.
Amen.
Amen.
All right, and now, my dears, with such a dinner, a toast. A Merry Christmas to all, and God bless us.
God bless us, everyone.
And now to Mr. Scrooge. I give you a toast to Mr. Scrooge, the founder of the feast.
The founder of the feast, indeed, who pays you all 15 shillings a week. I wish I had him here. I'd give him a piece of my mind to feast upon, and hope he'd have a good appetite for
My
it.
dear, the children, Christmas Day.
Well, it should be Christmas Day, I'm sure, on which one drinks the health of such an odious, stingy, unfeeling man as Mr. Scrooge. Well, you know he is, Robert. Nobody knows it better than you do, poor fellow.
My dear, Christmas Day.
I'll drink his health for your sake and the day's, but not for his. Long life to him, a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. He'll be very merry and very happy, I have no doubt.
And I say God bless him too, Mother, and everyone.
Aha, well said, Uncle, well said.
Ye faithful, joyful and triumphant, come ye, oh come ye to Bethlehem.
There was nothing of high mark in all this. They were not a handsome family, these Cratchits. They were not well dressed. Their shoes were far from being waterproof. Their clothes were scanty, and they had known very likely the inside of a pawnbroker's. But they were happy, grateful, pleased with one another, and contented with the times. And when at last they faded, Scrooge had his eye upon them, and especially on Tiny Tim, until the last. Many calls Scrooge made that night with the ghost of Christmas present. Down among the miners they went, who labor in the bowels of the earth, and out to sea among the sailors at their watch, dark, ghostly figures in their several stations, all keeping Christmas as merrily as they knew how.
What? Where are we now?
Of course. You've never bothered to visit this house, have you? But I dare say you know that bluff.
Fred, grates on the nerves, that laugh.
Nonsense. I know of no man more blessed in a loft than your nephew. Now attend.
He said that Christmas was a humbug, as I live, and he believed it too.
More shame for him, Fred.
Oh, he's a comical old fellow. That's the truth, and not so pleasant as he might be. However, his offenses carry their own punishment, and I have nothing to say against him.
I'm sure he's very rich, Fred. At least you always tell me so.
Well, what of that, my dear? His wealth is of no use to him. He don't do any good with it. He don't make himself comfortable with it. It's highly doubtful he'll even benefit us with it.
Well, I've no patience with him.
Oh, well, I have. I'm sorry for him. My dear mother, his late sister, she loved him so. So for her sake, I couldn't be angry with him if I tried. And I won't hear a word against him from anyone, even though I'm sure his ill manners have brought us much merriment. And therefore, as it would be ungrateful of us not to drink his health, I raise a glass of mulled wine, and I give you Uncle Scrooge.
Well, Uncle Scrooge.
A Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to the old man. He won't take it from me, but he may have it nevertheless.
Well, I never realized.
Come along, Scrooge.
Must we?
We must.
The scene passed away, and Scrooge and the spirit were again upon their travels. Much they saw, and far they went, and many places they visited, but always with a happy end. The spirit stood behind sick beds, and they were cheerful. On foreign lands, and they were close at home. By poverty, and it was rich. In almshouse, hospital, and jail, where a vain man in his little brief authority had not made fast the door and barred the spirit out, the spirit left his blessing. It was a long night, if it were only a night. And it was strange, too, that while Scrooge remained unaltered in his outward form, the ghost grew older, clearly older.
My life upon this globe is very brief. It ends tonight.
Tonight?
Tonight at midnight. Hark, the hour has come.
Oh, no, not yet, not yet. There are still many things I wish to learn.
These you will learn from still another spirit, Ebenezer.
Scrooge looked about him for the ghost that had vanished, and found himself once more in his bed, still in his dressing gown, with his nightcap on his head. He heard the clock strike, and then he remembered the prediction of old Jacob Marley, and lifting up his eyes beheld the third spirit, a solemn phantom, shrouded in black, draped and hooded, coming towards him slowly and silently, like a mist along the ground.
I know you. You are the ghost of Christmas yet to come. You'll show me shadows of the things that have not yet happened, but will happen in the time before us. Answer me, spirit. Ghost of the future, I fear you more than any specter I've seen, but I know your purpose is to do me good. And I hope to live to be a better man from that I was. Lead on. The night's waning fast, and time is precious. Spirit, why have you brought me here again? Here to Bob Cratchit's home, but it's not the same. Why is it so quiet? Why is it so very quiet?
Mother, please.
Oh, my son. My little son, Tiny Tim. I loved him so.
Oh, Mother, dear, you mustn't. It's almost time for Father to be home. Don't let him see you crying.
Yes, Martha. He's late tonight. He walks slower than he used to, and yet I've known him to walk very fast indeed with Tiny Tim on his shoulder.
So have I, Mother.
But he was light to carry, and his father loved him so that it was no trouble at all. Bob.
Good evening, my dear.
Oh, you're late, Bob.
Yes, I'm sorry, my dear. I went to the churchyard today. Oh, I wish you could have come with me. It would have done your heart good to see how sweet and green a place it is. Oh, but you'll see it often. I promised him. Yes, I promised Tiny Tim. We walked there on a Saturday.
Oh, Father, dear.
It's God's will, Bob.
Try to understand it, my dear. My son. Oh, my little son, Tiny Tim, and I loved him so.
That's cruel, Spirit. Cruel. Spirit, can't you give me one ray of hope that I may change all that Tiny Tim will live? Where are you taking me now? Here? On a common street, Spirit. What is there for me to learn here, and who are those men?
No, I don't know much about it either way. I only know he's dead.
When did he die?
Last night, I believe.
Well, it's likely to be a very cheap funeral. For my life, I don't know of anybody who would go to it. Well, suppose we make a party and volunteer.
I don't mind going if it's lunch provided.
Oh, when I come to think of it, I'll bet I was best friend.
What?
We used to nod to each other when we met on the street.
Spirit, tell me, who is this man that died? Is there no one to mourn the poor creature? No one to follow him to the grave? Perhaps they'll give him a green grave at least, like poor Tiny Tim. Spirit, where are we now? Merciful heaven, a churchyard overrun by grass and weeds, choked up with too much burying. A desolate, lonely, crumbling gravestone. Spirit, before I draw nearer to that gravestone, answer me one question. Are those shadows of things that will be, or are they shadows of things that may be? Will you not speak to me, Spirit? What is that grave to which you point? There's writing on the stone. The name on the gravestone is Ebenezer Scrooge. Ebenezer Scrooge! Oh, no. No, Spirit, no, no. Hear me. I am not the man that I was. Why show me this if I am past all hope? Tell me that I can change the dreadful shadows you have shown me by an altered life. I will honor Christmas in my heart and try to keep it all the year. I will live in the past, the present, and the future, and I'll not shout out the lessons they teach. Tell me, Spirit, tell me, can I sponge away the writing on that stone? Spirit, I beg you, Spirit, I beg you. I promise on my knees, I promise. What's this? It's my own bedpost. I'm home. In my own bed, in my own room. With this ill-fitting blasted cap. The sun is shining and it's clear, it's bright, and there's no clouds. What a beautiful day, a glorious, glorious day. Hey, boy. Oh, you, boy.
Yes, sir?
What's today?
What's that, sir?
What day is it, my fine fellow?
Today? Why, it's Christmas Day.
Ha, Christmas Day. Then I haven't missed it. The spirits have done it all in one night. All in one night, heaven be praised.
How's that, sir?
Listen, my lad. Do you know where the poultery is on the next street?
I should say I do.
Aha, intelligent boy, remarkable boy. Now tell me, do you know if they'd sold the prize turkey that was hanging in the window?
The one as big as me?
What a delightful boy. It's a pleasure to talk with you. Yes, sir.
It's hanging there now, sir.
That's wonderful. Go around, will you, and tell them to send it to Bob Cratchit and his family on Broad Street, Camden Town. And mind you, they're not to know who paid for it. Go along. Hurry, my lad. Here, wait a minute. Here's half a crown for your trouble.
Yes, sir. And a Merry Christmas, sir.
And a Merry Christmas to you, my boy. Oh, I don't know what to do. I'm as light as a feather. I'm as happy as an angel. But I'm as merry as a schoolboy. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to everybody. And a Happy New Year to all the world. Yes!
Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Peace on earth and mercy mild, God and sinners reconciled.
Scrooge dressed himself all in his best, and at last got out into the streets. He had not gone far when...
My dear sir, how do you do?
I beg your pardon?
You, sir. Aren't you the gentleman who came to my office in regard to that charity?
Why, yes, sir.
A Merry Christmas to you.
Yes, sir.
Allow me to ask your pardon, sir. And will you have the goodness to accept, I prefer to whisper this.
What? Bless my soul, Mr. Scrooge, are you serious?
If you please, and not a farthing less. A great many back payments are included in it, I assure you. Will you do me that favor?
My dear sir, I don't know what to say with such munificence.
Oh, don't say anything, please. Come and see me, will you? Will you please come and see me?
I will. I will indeed.
I am obliged to you, and I thank you 50 times. Bless you. Merry Christmas.
Scrooge went to church and walked about the streets and watched people hurrying to and fro and patted children on the head and questioned beggars and found that everything could yield him pleasure. In the afternoon, he turned his steps toward his nephew's house. He passed the door a dozen times before he had the courage to finally go up and knock.
Yes, who is it?
Hello, Fred.
Why, bless my soul. Who can that be?
It is I, your Uncle Scrooge. I have come to dinner. Will you let me in, Fred?
Let him in. It is a mercy he didn't shake his arm off. Scrooge was at home in his nephew's home in 5 minutes. Wonderful party, wonderful games, wonderful unanimity, wonderful happiness. Next morning, Scrooge was early at his office. Oh, he was early there. He went for only one reason. If he could just be there first and catch Bob Cratchit coming late. That was the thing he had set his heart upon. And he did it. Yes, he did. The clock struck 9. No Bob. 1:15. No Bob. Scrooge sat with his door wide open that he might see him come in. At last he came. His hat was off before he opened the door. His comforter, too. He was on his stool in a jiffy, driving away with his pen as if he were trying to overtake 9 o'clock.
8 and 15 and 21, 6 and carry the 1, 24 and carry the 2.
Hello, you Cratchit.
Yes, sir?
Step this way, if you please. Cratchit, what do you mean by coming in at this time of day?
I'm very sorry, sir. I am behind my time.
You are? Yes. Yes, I think you are. Full 15 minutes and a half behind your time, sir.
It's only once a year, Mr. Scrooge. It shall not be repeated. I was making rather merry yesterday, sir.
I'll tell you what, my friend. I am not going to stand for this thing any longer, and therefore, Bob Cratchit, I am about to raise your salary.
Mr. Scrooge? Are you quite yourself, sir?
No, thank heaven, I'm not quite myself. Merry Christmas, Bob. Merry Christmas, my good fellow. A merrier Christmas than I have given you in many a year. I shall raise your salary, and we'll see what we can do for Tiny Tim and the rest of your family, hey? Well, we'll discuss it this very afternoon over a Christmas bowl of smoking bishop. Bob, make up the fires and buy another coal scuttle before you dot another I, Bob Cratchit.
Oh, sir!
Scrooge was better than his word. He did it all, and infinitely more. And to Tiny Tim, who did not die, he was a second father. He became as good a friend, as good a master, and as good a man as the good old city knew, or any other good old city, town, or borough in the good old world. Some people laughed to see the alteration in him, but he let them laugh, and little heeded them. His own heart laughed. That was quite enough for him. He had no further dealings with spirits, but lived upon the total abstinence principle ever afterwards. And it was always said of him that he knew how to keep Christmas well, if any man alive possessed the knowledge. May that be truly said of us, and all of us. And so, as Tiny Tim observed,
God bless us, everyone.
You have just heard RG Productions' annual presentation of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. Today's show starred Peter Heimsel, John McLaughlin, Ed Godula, Philip Yeager, Candy Helson, Jim Kohler, Scott Anel, Leslie Utek, Tom Jackson, Amy Louise Seiler, Jay Rattle, Tristan Adams, Milan Myers, Evan Pless, and Amanda Billerbeck. Jane Myers was our sound effects artist. Thank you to the Southeast Wisconsin Performing Arts Dickens under the direction of Nick Bartunian. This fantastic production was directed by Nita Hunter. Sound engineers Rick Haggerty and Jeff Hunter. Mike Savaglio from Channel 14, our videographer. I'm your announcer, Dan Sticka. See you next year. Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas!
Wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas!